Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in May 2025. My name is Nick and I'm one of the lead tutors and evaluators for MCS at TCS. So this is the final workshop. As you know, we have already conducted 7 weekly webinars and workshops, and I hope you attended each of these webinars and workshops. And if you missed out on any of them, you can still watch the recorded versions via our student dashboard. So today's I'm going to keep things extremely short today because these are the final days leading up to your exam. I'm pretty sure that you are involved with your preparations. So with that in mind, I'm going to, just share last minute tips with you in a jiffy so that you can refocus on your preparations. And in today's session, I will also be conducting a Q&A. If you have last minute questions or concerns, you can get them addressed within this Q&A. All right. So, what are you supposed to do with regards to maintaining confidence? Because, as I mentioned in the 4th webinar, it's essential that you believe in yourself, believe in your skill set. If so, then you will see a significant improvement in your confidence, and this leads to positivity. Because, as I mentioned in the 3rd and 4th webinars, as well as on multiple occasions, Jared shared this with you via the workshops as well. The CIMA examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application skills. The CIMA examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stressful situations. Because as per your exam, you are supposed to play the role of a finance manager. And as a finance manager of any given company, you should have the capability to manage stressful situations. So one of the objectives of testing your knowledge via a case study is to make sure that you manage your stress levels. So if you are to manage your stress levels at your exam, it's essential that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity. Because if you walk into the exam with self-doubt, if you are negative before the examination, then you will struggle to manage your stresses at your real examination, especially given the fact that you are supposed to operate in a time pressured environment. So when operating in a time pressured environment, it won't be easy to manage your stresses, especially towards the last 2 sections. Due to fatigue setting in, you will be exposed to extreme levels of stress, and then there's a tendency for you to panic. So it's essential that you walk into the exam with a calm and composed mindset. If not, if you are stressed before the exam, during the exam, especially when operating under a time pressured environment, you'll be exposed to extreme levels of stress. And as I mentioned in the 4th webinar, when you are exposed to extreme levels of stress, you'd experience something called brain freeze. And when you are experiencing brain freeze, although you are trying to plan out your answer, although you are trying to read through the scenario, nothing will go into your head. So it's essential that you build a high level of confidence and positivity before the exam. And if so, you will manage your stresses in a successful manner at your real examination. So before the exam, what are you expected to do? In these final days leading up to your exam, you have to take steps to rest your mind and body. That is exactly why, as per our study plans, be it the 8-week study plan or the 3-week study plan, which we shared with you, we expected you guys to be done with all preparations a week before the exam. So within this week, in these final days, your prime concern should be to conduct your revision. And what type of revision should you be involved with? Simply go through the answer plans which you have access to. And if you had developed answer plans on your own, if you didn't have access to these answer plans, therefore, if you had developed answer plans on your own, within these final days, simply go through these answer plans, because when you are going through these answer plans, it's as if you are going through the entire syllabus, because we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas across the 6 mocks which we have developed for you. So in these final days, when you are going through these answer plans, you are going through the entire syllabus, and at the same time, you are going through the logic behind each answer, which will refresh your memory of how to structure each answer, how to tackle each syllabus area. And at the same time, you are taking steps to revise your knowledge about application. So in these final days, when all other students are scrambling for time, when they are trying to attempt mock exams and do everything under the sun, you are expected to be calm and composed. Why? With the intention of walking into the exam with a clear mind. So it's essential that you start resting your mind and body. I know for a fact that some of you are yet to complete all 6 mock exams. Most of you are done with the first 5 mock exams. However, there are two or three students who are yet to complete mock number 6. If you are one such individual, make up your mind to attempt mock number 6 today itself. After doing so, tomorrow, watch the master classes, and after watching the master classes, after you have learned the theory and application concerning your 6th mock exam, then redevelop answer plans, thereby conducting revision. If you do so, you can relax towards Monday and Tuesday because your exams are happening on Wednesday. So on Monday and Tuesday, don't try to attempt mock exams once more. Don't try to redevelop answer plans. Don't try to rewatch master classes. Instead, simply focus on the answer plans at your disposal. Simply go through the answer plans with the intention of revising your knowledge. Don't try to do too much because even me as a student, I was involved with self-study. So because I was so busy with work, I didn't have any other option. I couldn't attend any classes. So because of that, I was involved with self-studies throughout my CIMA preparations. So as an individual who was supposed to pass exams by conducting self-studies, I had to stick to a study plan. And I always made sure that I achieved the study plan a week before the exam so that in the final week I could relax. Although this is the case, even after achieving the study plan, as a student, I always thought that I have not done enough. So because of that, in the final week, I was trying to reattempt mock exams, redevelop answer plans, thereby going through a lot of stress. And this stress didn't help me at the real examination. So if you had stuck to our study plans and if you know that you have attempted all 6 mocks, watched all the master classes, redeveloped answer plans in these final days, don't try to overburden yourself with work. Instead, simply revise your knowledge by referring to the answer plans which are with you at the moment. And do not refer to any study material, mocks, or answer plans in this on the day of the exam and maybe a day before the exam. If you have time, it's essential that you take a break a day or two before the examination. Most students are done with all 6 mock exams. So if you're one such student, get done with going through answer plans within today and tomorrow, and take a day off a day before your exam, because it's essential that you walk into the exam with an open mind, because at the exam your job is to develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement, develop answers which are totally aligned with the information presented in each scenario. Your job is not to memorize the logic behind each answer or try to replicate the same type of answers which you saw in mock exams, because as you know, the logic behind each answer is totally aligned with the information presented in each mock exam. And at your exam, fresh information will be thrown at you. So you are supposed to consider the information which is presented at your exam when developing answers. So in order to achieve this, you need to walk into the exam with an open mind, open to face any type of challenge, open to consider the exact information which is thrown at you at your examination. That is why we are asking you to take a break, essentially. Preferably, if you can take a break 2 days before the exam, then that's enough time for you to relax both mentally and physically. And in these final days, think that you're the finance manager at Trimayr. This will help because the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, when you are supposed to operate in a real life corporate environment, it makes sense for you to think that you are actually working for this company. When this is the case, you will come up with highly practical recommendations. You will conduct highly effective evaluations, and at the same time, you will make sure to develop answers which are totally aligned with the information presented in each scenario. And however much prepared you are, you might feel negative. It's quite normal for you to feel negative because, as I mentioned earlier, even after sticking to a study plan, I felt that I have not done enough in the last week or in the final weeks, final days leading up to the exam. So most of you had stuck to our study plans. So kudos to you. You have done your job. Make up your mind just to go through the answer plans if you want. Other than that, I do not want you guys to do anything else, even when you are feeling negative. So whenever you are feeling negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework, that you have stuck to a study process which was well thought out. Always remind yourself the amount of effort you have put in, attempting 6 mocks, watching master classes, and redeveloping answer plans, which is not easy. So you have already completed all these things. So there's absolutely no point of you being negative when you know for a fact that you have done your homework properly. So always, whenever you feel negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework. And at the same time, always remind yourself that you just need 80 marks to pass. You need not score 150 marks out of 150. Instead, you simply need 80 marks, or as a percentage, you just need 54% to pass. So even if you screw up half your paper, you still can pass this examination if you are calm and confident, calm and composed, as well as confident about your skill set during the examination. So in these final days, however much prepared you are, you will feel negative because this is a challenging and stressful examination. You have already attempted the 6 mocks, so you know how tough it is to attempt a mock exam under exam conditions. So your examination is going to be tough as well, because you are supposed to operate in a time pressured environment. You are supposed to keep fighting stressful situations across 3 hours, which is not easy. Yet, if you have done your homework, you need not worry. So whenever you feel negative, don't give in. Remind yourself that you have done your homework. Remind yourself that you need just 80 marks to pass. And don't try to do too much in these final days. Simply refer to the answer plans at your disposal. And it's essential that you be open-minded in these final days. That's why throughout this webinar and workshop series, we said that you are not expected to memorize the logic behind each answer concern in the mocks which we have developed. Instead, your job was to understand how to approach each theoretical element, and at the same time understand how to apply these theoretical concepts when developing answers. And since you have already watched the master classes and redeveloped answer plans, you need not worry. Simply stop work a day or two before your exam in order to achieve a higher level of open-mindedness. This will ensure that you perform really well at your exam, because if you are open-minded, you will develop answers which are totally aligned with the information which is thrown at you at your real examination. So this is what you are supposed to do before the exam to improve your confidence and get rid of unnecessary stresses. And during the exam, what are you expected to do? With the intention of managing the same level of confidence or maintaining a high level of confidence, simply stick to the exam technique routine. Because when you're doing so, if you stick to our exam technique routine, which we have mastered across the 6 mock exams which I've done so far, you are taking steps to ensure that you are not trying to multitask. Because when you are operating in a time pressured environment, you cannot multitask. That is not how our brains are supposed to function. So as I mentioned in the 4th webinar, I mentioned the fact that I was talking about the way in which our brains function, under stress. So in the 4th webinar, I mentioned the fact that whenever you are planning out your answer, you are supposed to utilize the front part of your brain, which is known as the prefrontal cortex. So if you are to come up with rational evaluations, rational recommendations, it's essential that you think through your prefrontal cortex. However, our brains are designed to switch off, or the prefrontal cortex is supposed to switch off every 45 minutes. And when you had utilized your prefrontal cortex for the first 45 minutes, the brain will ask you to take a break. At office, you can do so. However, at your real examination, you can't take a break. After completing the first section, after the first 45 minutes are up, you can't take a break before you start section number 2. Instead, you'd have to keep fighting and moving forward across 3 hours, making sure that you think through your prefrontal cortex. So since your brain is pressurizing you to, or forcing you to switch off your prefrontal cortex, what you need to do is you need to stick to our study plan, because if you do so, towards the last 20 minutes, it's as if you are taking steps to relax your prefrontal cortex or switch off your prefrontal cortex. Why am I saying this? Because in the first 5 minutes of each section, you are supposed to dedicate time towards reading the entire scenario. Once you are done with it, you are supposed to dedicate 20 minutes of your time towards planning or developing the answer plan. So when conducting these two activities, you are supposed to utilize your prefrontal cortex. And once you have developed the answer plan, you know what you should include within the answer because you have already planned it out. And when it comes to typing your answer, which is to expand the answer plan in paragraph form, you need not really think. So this is when, towards the last 15 to 20 minutes of each section, this is when you are letting your prefrontal cortex take a break. This is going to be essential because every 20 minutes, towards the last 15 to 20 minutes of each section, when you are letting your prefrontal cortex rest, then it's as if you are taking steps towards refreshing your prefrontal cortex, which is going to be extremely beneficial for you when it comes to addressing the questions which are thrown at you at your real exam. So by sticking to our answering technique, you are not trying to multitask. You are focusing on each activity in a phased manner. And at the same time, you are making sure that towards the last 15 to 20 minutes of each section, you are resting your prefrontal cortex. So even after sticking to this answering technique, especially towards sections 3 and 4, due to fatigue setting in, you will experience some type of stress. So whenever you are feeling additional stress levels, you have to take steps to switch off your amygdala. So I explained what this amygdala is all about and what type of response your amygdala, when it is in play, what type of response you'd experience at your examination. So when your amygdala is in play, you'd be exposed to a fight or flight response. Your brain is asking you to move away from a stressful situation. However, at the exam, you can't do so. Instead, the only other option is to fight the stressful situation. And when it comes to fighting the stressful situation, the only way to fight stresses in the most effective manner is to switch off your amygdala. There's absolutely no point of blindly trying to fight a stressful situation, because when you do so, you are pressurizing your brain. This is when you'd experience something called brain freeze. And if you really attempted the 6 mocks under exam conditions, you already know what I'm talking about. You would have experienced a situation where you are trying to think, but nothing comes into your head. You sweat profusely, or you feel extremely cold. You feel jittery. So all these types of reactions, you experience all these types of reactions when your amygdala is in play. So as per what I highlighted in the 4th webinar, whenever you are exposed to a stressful situation, you have to take steps to switch off your amygdala. And the only way to switch off your amygdala is to close your eyes and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. And as I mentioned in the 4th webinar, when inhaling, inhale through your nose. When doing so, count to 3 slowly. And then when you are exhaling, exhale from your mouth. And again, count to 3 slowly. This is the only way to switch off your amygdala and make sure that your brain functions shift from your amygdala to your prefrontal cortex. And also, you can drink some water. This helps hydrating yourself is and leads to an additional infusion of oxygen, which is going to be beneficial for your brain capabilities, brain functions. However, the problem is if you're attempting the exam at home, then definitely you can't have a water bottle with you. And in certain examination centers, the invigilators won't let you, have a water bottle with you. So you can only do so if you are allowed to carry a water bottle or have a water bottle with you. If not, the best way to get out of a stressful situation is to focus on your breathing and thereby taking steps to switch off your amygdala. And most students who successfully manage their stress levels at their exam do this. Before starting each section, they take a 2-minute break. So let's assume you are done with section number 1 and you are in section number 2. You will see the timer running out starting from 45 minutes. Although the timer is running out, close your eyes, focus on your breathing. Thereby, if you do so, it's as if you are taking steps to refresh your brain, refresh your prefrontal cortex. You are taking steps to ensure that your amygdala is switched off. When this is the case, it's as if you are attempting the new section with a fresh mindset, with a fresh perspective. So you can do so as well before attempting each section or before reading through the scenario of each new section. Take a break of 2 minutes, focus on your breathing, switch off your amygdala, shift your brain functions back to the prefrontal cortex. And when you are focusing on your breathing for 2 minutes, you are taking steps to refresh your prefrontal cortex, which is essential when operating in a time pressured environment. And whenever you feel negative or stressed at the exam, as I mentioned, of what you are supposed to do before the exam, when you are feeling negative at the exam as well, whenever you are feeling negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework and you just need 80 marks to pass. However much prepared you are at the exam, especially in section number 4, due to fatigue, you will be exposed to some type of a stressful situation. So I'm, keeping you guys informed of what type of issues you can face at the exam. So when you are in sections 3 and 4, whenever you feel stressed, focus on your breathing, get out of the situation and keep moving forward. And always remember to give your best shot, because when attempting the real examination, you might think that your answers are inaccurate. Why is this the case? Because when your brain is overburdened with work, it's not easy to sit in one place across 3 hours and be exposed to extreme levels of stress. And at the same time, you are operating in a time pressured environment. So when this is the case, as I mentioned earlier, the brain will keep telling you to take a break. And when you are not taking a break, you'll start experiencing negative thoughts. And what type of negative thoughts am I talking about? Let's assume you are in section number 3, but you'd start thinking about what went wrong in section number 1. So that's one of the reactions you would see. And at the same time, you will start doubting yourself. So you will think, okay, I screwed up my answer. And because of that, let's assume you are in section number 3, but you are thinking of the quality of your answer concerning section number 1. Whenever you are exposed to such a situation, remind yourself that you can't go back to section number 1. There's absolutely no point of worrying about what went wrong in the past. There's absolutely no point of worrying about what you'd see in section number 4. Instead, the only objective should be to focus on your present and make sure that you are developing answers which are aligned with each requirement, which are aligned with the scenario which is highlighted within section number 3. So don't worry about screwing up your previous sections. Don't worry about the sections which you'd see in the future, because you can't predict your future. Instead, live in the moment, do what is right, manage your stress levels. If you do so, you'd be successful once the results are out. And at the same time, after each exam, students get in touch with us and they share their experiences. Almost all the students, throughout my career, this is what I've experienced. Almost all the students, 99% of the students, what they say is they think that they screwed up their exam. So when they call us, they say, okay, I was exposed to a lot of stress, lot of stress. So because of that, I rushed my answer, and I don't think that I tackled each and every question in the most appropriate manner. And always these individuals are doubting themselves after the exam and at the same time during the exam. However, when the results are out, they are amazed to find out that they have scored more than 95 marks when the pass mark is just 80. So last time there was a student who ended up scoring 120 marks. So the pass mark is 80, but this individual achieved 120 marks. But still, the same person, right after the exam, was crying. When she called us, she was crying and saying that she might have to, redo the examination once more. Actually speaking, before the results were out, she started preparations for the MCS exam once more. So although we asked her to wait until the results, she didn't want to do it because she was doubting herself. Whereas when the results were out, she scored 120 marks. So at the exam, your brain will, force you to doubt yourself. Don't fall into this trap. Just give your best shot, because it's all about managing your stresses. Because if you had done your homework, if you had attempted the 6 marks, if you had watched the master classes and redeveloped answer plans, you will be extremely successful at your examination. The only issue is the fact that you are operating in a time pressured environment. So when this is the case, you would be exposed to extreme levels of stress, and due to your brain being stressed, the brain wants you to take a break, and when you are not taking a break, you'd get emotional and you'd start doubting yourself. So don't fall into this trap. Just remind yourself that you have done your homework and you are expected to give your best shot. Keep fighting, keep moving forward. And if you feel that you cannot control your brain, then take a break, focus on your breathing, get out of a stressful situation, and then keep moving forward. So this is what I wanted to highlight with you, share with you. These are the last minute tips which I wanted to share with you in these final days, so that because I don't want you guys to fail just because you cannot handle your stress levels, especially given the fact that most of you had completed your work already. So don't get emotional in these final days. Don't let your brain win. Don't let your amygdala win at your real examination. Take steps to manage your stress levels, because you have to be confident about your skill set, because you have stuck to a study process. You have attempted all 6 mock exams. Because of that, you know how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam. And at the same time, you have taken steps to learn theories and improve application skills by watching master classes. You have taken steps to improve your application skills by redeveloping answer plans. Once you're done with all these things, the only way you'd end up failing the exam is due to the fact that you are not able to manage stressful situations. And these stressful situations are totally aligned with the fact that you are operating in a time pressured environment. So, practice these techniques to get out of a stressful situation. I shared these techniques in depth in the 4th webinar as well. I explained everything in depth in the 4th webinar, and I expected you guys to keep practicing these techniques when attempting the mock exams as well. So if you practice these techniques, you would have mastered all these techniques by now. So simply replicate what you did when attempting each of the mock exams which we developed at your real exam. Give your best shot. Be positive. Don't listen to your amygdala. Get out of stressful situations by breathing or by drinking some water, because if you manage your stress levels, you will pass for sure at your upcoming examination. That is why we achieved a 92% pass rate in the previous MCS sitting. So you can achieve a similar feat simply by managing your stress levels, because you have done your work. Be confident about your skill set. In these final days, simply go through the answer plans. Other than that, don't try to overburden yourself with work. And at your exam, it's all about managing your stress levels, because you have already grasped the knowledge areas. You already know how to tackle each syllabus area. You have already significantly improved your application skills. So you know how each syllabus area is tested. When this is the case, you need not worry about the outcome of of your exam attempt. Simply, it comes down to you managing your stress levels. So manage your stresses. If so, you will pass for sure. All right, so having said that, we are moving to the Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop us a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks. So I hope I addressed all your concerns. So if you want to contact us in these final days, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, or you can email us directly via info@study@tcs.com. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email uh, on weekdays, and you can also WhatsApp us on this number. And I urge you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops can be accessed via our YouTube handle. Also, as you know, we have developed 6 TikTok videos, which is a good pre-seen mind map. So in these final days, keep watching these 6 TikTok videos over and over, so that you keep reminding yourself of the most important points which are highlighted within your pre-seen document. And right, a day before your exam, just read through this blog post concerning Trimayr, so that you remind yourself of how your pre-seen document is structured. Having said that, it brings us to the end of the webinar and workshop series, which spanned across 8 weeks. I hope you gained something out of this webinar and workshop series. I hope you significantly improved your skill set, and I hope we were able to address all your questions and concerns throughout this series of webinars and workshops. And in these final days, as I mentioned earlier, since you have done your work, don't worry about doing too much. Instead, just go through the answer plans which you have developed or which you have access to. Simply go through the answer plans and start relaxing, because since you have done your work, you can easily pass this exam. It all comes down to your success, comes down to you managing your stress levels. So I don't want you guys to be stressed before the exam. So start relaxing, sleep really well, eat well, spend time with your loved ones, watch a movie, walk into the exam with a calm and composed mindset. If so, you will manage your stress levels. And if you manage your stress levels, you will definitely pass this exam, not just with 80 marks, you will pass with flying colors. So you can achieve it if you manage your stress levels. So in these final days, don't stress yourself. I can't explain how important it is that you start relaxing. So relax, relax, and relax. If you do so, you will pass for sure. So I wish you all the very best and hope to see you guys at SES. Thank you very much and take care.